who was Hitler before Hitler knew he was Hitler? I know he was born on the border of Austria and Germany. I passed through that town when I was on a train going from Vienna to West Germany. We're going to get to some Hitler stuff, by the way. I see Lincoln Vonk sharing that. We're going to get to that. My buddy Aaron actually wanted to call in and talk about the Nazi salute thing. Listen, you know me, I never talk politics, but when it comes to Nazi salutes, I can't talk about it enough. I don't want to get political, but I would like to talk about the history of the Nazi salute and Hitler's early life. I think we're going to touch on that. Let me see if Aaron's available. So this is Aaron Gwyn. He has read probably 100 books on Hitler or something. There we go. Hey, buddy, you're on the show. You're live on the show.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, okay, so to get into this very brief, and by the way, don't you have your novella, which I read last year, it's coming out in a few weeks?
It comes out Tuesday.
Nice. Everybody go to @AmericanGwyn's X and get his book, his novella that's coming out. It's very good. The Cannibal Owl.
Yeah, you can go to, also you can go, if you're interested, go to barnesandnoble.com, Amazon, wherever you get books.
See, because they know you as the Hitler expert of this show, but actually you're a novelist and professor. That's what they're calling you in the chat. I mean, how many books have you read on Hitler?
I don't know, few.
That's like a fat guy saying he had like a couple donuts.
Hilarious. I've read more World War II books than I've read just on Hitler, but kind of they're pretty interlinked, right?
The biography that goes up till 1939 by Volcker that you had me get, I still have not cracked. It's an intimidating. I mean, it's the Infinite Jest of Hitler books. It's like 900 pages or something. And I can't believe it stopped short of the war.
Oh, well, it's 2 volumes, right? So the first volume is to 1939, and that's called Rise. And then the second volume is 39 to 45, and that's called Fall.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now let's see Paul Allen's Hitler. No. So when it comes to the Nazi salute, I have always understood that the history of it comes from the Roman salute, right? That's they touch the chest and then go out.
Well, I haven't seen Nazis touch the chest and do that thing. That's more of the like Italian fascist salute.
Okay.
Nazis generally, the way you usually see it is, if you're an officer, right, you salute just throwing the hand kind of straight out from the shoulder. The officers would salute that kind of like extended, palm down thing. But Hitler did and the SS High Command, they did a lazy kind of version where they usually didn't raise their hand over their head. And Hitler had a kind of really lazy version that was just a wave. He would just kind of put his palm up.
I'm looking up Hitler saluting the troops right now.
Yeah. So you'll see a salute where will occasionally do the kind of like full-on Nazi salute, but he often just raises his hand with his palm out. And there's a particular reason for that.
I'm on the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum YouTube page here, and this is the Hitler salute is one of the most recognizable symbols of Nazism. It's known as the German greeting.
the old German greeting.
So I want to see his lazy version of it. You're calling Hitler out on not even
well, you have to anytime he's on a balcony and he's doing a review of the troops, he just kind of has his palm up. And there's a reason for that. So this goes back to the late 1920s, and before the Nazis really took power, they were just a political organization at that point. And it looked like they were going to be a failed political organization. But one of Hitler's guys came to him and said, we need some sort of salute. And Hitler said, I don't want a salute. He had been passed over for promotion during the First World War for failing to salute an officer. So he didn't want a fancy salute. And they're like, yeah, but we need something, you know, we get all fired up and people want to do some sort of thing, right? So Hitler wasn't convinced, but one of his SS officers was sleeping with a German doctor named Carla Metz. And she had been doing research on how certain hand motions feed into IQ. And her research suggested that when people make jerking hand motions over the level of their head, their IQ briefly drops and they're more susceptible.
Really?
Yes.
Is this true?
Yes.
That's true.
And so,
if you start doing this,
yes.
you become like derpy derp.
Well, you become more. Her research indicated. Now, I don't know if this actually is something that works, but her research in the 1920s and 30s suggested it did that it kept people compliant, right?
Well,
and
I know Hitler detested Christians because he thought they were weak people, and he used Christianity as like a tool to control them.
Right.
It's
a similar thing.
Like when you raise your hands in praise like this, you know, that's like two Nazi salutes. So I wonder if he was thinking that way, like these little Christians with their bug brains, they're so easy to control. They put their hands up like that. That's all it takes.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, this SS officer came back to him and they said, hey, you know, there's research to suggest that people are more susceptible when they're saluting. And Hitler's like, okay, but then what do we do where we're not more susceptible? And then they came up with the kind of lazy Nazi salute that they would kind of give back.
So did Hitler like roll out a press release like, hey, here's how you say hi now? And then everyone started doing it?
Well, after the Nazis took power, you know, Hitler is appointed chancellor in 1933, and then President Hindenburg dies, and he assumes complete power. He puts the presidency and the chancellorship and makes it one thing, so he becomes absolute ruler. And then the Hitler salute became law.
Oh, it became law. That's how you had to greet.
That's how you had to greet fellow Nazi members. And if you failed to do so, there were all kinds of recriminations. And, you know, there were roving gangs of like SA, you know, brown shirt stormtrooper guys that would, you know, thugs, gangs, they would beat you up if you didn't properly salute, et cetera, et cetera.
It says here after 1933, all Germans were expected to give the salute.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and this is according to the Holocaust Museum's YouTube page. I'm sure they've done their research.
Yeah. Yep.
The salute spread to nearly every aspect of life in Nazi Germany, from weddings to funerals, even. Wow.
I mean, can you imagine having to throw up the old Hitler salute at a at a wedding?
That I can.
You're like, you haven't seen my wedding photos, Aaron.
You know what's funny? This is a dead Nazi, and this is a Nazi flag draped over his casket. I bet if you went roving around Germany with a shovel and a flashlight at night, you could dig up countless Nazi flags from 6 feet under the earth.
I never thought about that. That's interesting.
There's so many skeletons sleeping, clutching Nazi flags. We have to do something about this. We have to get in there and excavate all of them.
I wonder if the Germans have, because, you know, after 45, they had a little egg on their face. Kind of went the other direction. I wonder if they have excavated all those graves. I bet it would be very hard to find, like, you know, a Nazi with a tombstone,
right?
And, you know, rest in peace, right?
You think a big swastika tombstone that can't really exist, right?
They can't be a thing. Well, the swastika is illegal in Germany now.
What, like you go to prison if you draw a swastika?
Yes.
I mean, let me tell you something.
There's severe fines.
Okay, well, everybody I knew when they were 7 years old would have gone to prison in Germany because that's scrawled on every textbook in the United States. There's swastikas under desks, on lockers.
Yep.
It's just a hilarious thing to do. You write the word fuck, you draw a swastika, you write fart knocker on the wall.
Yeah. If you're a dumb kid, you don't really know anything and you're feeling mischievous. I mean, it's, it's easy to draw and it's like, controversial and it's forbidden and but you can't do that in Germany.
Well, yeah, I mean,
thought you were about to say sad to see what they've become.
Sad to see what they've become. These it says it does it's alluding to ancient Rome, so it is similar to a Roman salute.
Right.
So that's where they kind of got the idea from.
Yeah, well, and from Mussolini. Mussolini had a version of this, and he took it from ancient Rome, right? And Hitler was a huge Mussolini fanboy.
Oh, okay, that was kind of his. I got it. That was his. He was kind of ripping him off a little bit.
Jordan.
Right.
Yeah, no, he loved Mussolini.
And I just want to say thank
now,
you.
do you think, looking at this footage, do you think he is hailing Hitler?
Who? Musk?
Yeah.
Man, did you read the statement by the Anti-Defamation League?
ADL, yeah, they were like, let's be nicer and not jump to conclusion about everything being Nazis.
Yeah, so
this time around.
Yeah, Jonathan Greenblatt and the ADL have come out and said they don't believe it's actually a Hitler salute. It looks pretty Hitlery to me. It's like but the context.
That should be an adjective in Webster's.
Yeah, absolutely. The context is weird because Musk is, going to address people on Inauguration Day, and he just starts throwing up the Hitler salute. That's kind of a weird thing. I mean, if he's actually doing that as a Hitler salute, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I would say it's weird.
Yeah,
I would say it's
pretty
odd.
Odd choice.
Yeah. My personal belief is a lot of the gaffes by people like him are either unconsciously or consciously premeditated as a bid to win back a lot of the groypers.
If he has, that's a good point, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he has the presence of mind that he's, he's that conniving, that's pretty interesting. I don't know. I just watched people argue about whether Elon Musk was hailing Hitler, and I'm like, what's going on?
Someone found this giant swastika unearthed under Hamburg sports field. Someone sent this in the Discord. Do you see this on the TV?
Oh, no. That's interesting. I wonder what they did with it.
Well, in a funny way, a lot of this was swept under the rug, so to speak, after the war. People were just kicking hiding their, good Nazi plates in the basement, sweeping swastikas under the bed, putting a carpet over a big painted swastika in the living room.
Well, that's a famous thing about 1945 Germany is that all of a sudden, we have GIs over there. We still have troops and you could not find a Nazi. All the Germans are like, yeah, we just make, Wiener Schnitzel and, like to make the cracks and the chocolate. And we don't know Nazi. We never heard of these, and it's like, you people were goose stepping 5 hours ago.
I think I actually might be able to find it here. There's an amazing Werner Herzog CBS Sunday Morning interview from 3 weeks ago, and he's talking about how his parents were Nazis, and he explains it kind of very simply.
What does he say?
He just says, he goes, yeah, everybody was.
Thanks, Werner. Everybody was doing it. I mean, it was really big.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically like, it gave people a lot of hope back then, and everyone was. It's not that he goes, it's not that my parents were Nazis. Everybody was, and they had a lot of hope for the National Socialism Party. And then suddenly he says, quote unquote, it became barbaric.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I got it right here.
Quick.
Here, can you hear this when I play it?
Parents, you say in the book,
yeah.
They were early National Socialists. They were.
Oh, here we go. I'll rewind.
I became curious and I ventured out.
Your parents, you say in the book, they were early National Socialists. They were on board with the Nazi Party very, very early.
Yeah.
But it didn't last as long with your mother as your father.
Yes, it is correct. My parents were Nazis. My mother saw the disaster looming that was created by it fairly early and completely withdraw from all politics. My father was kind of bitter about Germany's defeat, even after the catastrophe that Germany had created. But I never had much contact with my father. I barely knew him, so I never had any meaningful conversation with him. But my parents were not an exception. A vast majority of Germany were Nazis and had hopes in a bright future under National Socialism until it turned barbaric. And that was something that some of the people noticed and some of the people way too late. The National Socialism under Hitler created a form of barbarism that is unprecedented in human history. It created the Holocaust, which is an event of a magnitude and barbarism that the world has never seen before or after. And this is something where you are compelled to start thinking, what the hell happened? How did Germany in such a few years from a very civilized country lapse into barbarism? And I mean barbarism of a magnitude that is out of any proportions, out of anything the world has ever seen. And the scariest, may I add one thing? Yeah. The scariest about the Holocaust for me is, yes, there have been genocides, but it was an industrialized genocide. It took the shape of an industry. And strangely enough, that's the strangest and the scariest of all.
When you
moving on. Anyway,
right on the money. Right on the money as always. With Werner Herzog nails it. Wow.
Yeah, I forgot that morbid addition at the end where he says it was an industrialized genocide, where you're basically designing giant wood chippers to can you that question he propositioned though? Can you answer it?
Which part? Which one?
About how quickly it was able to descend into barbarism. That he says the German people still can't wrap their mind around it.
Well, yeah, I can, because it starts off with all these promises about, revitalizing Germany as an industry and revitalizing the economy. And there's all this stuff. And Hitler he's Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 1935 or 36. I mean, the American press was like, wow, old Adolf really turned that economy around. What a guy.
And
right?
Didn't we invest in Germany in some way?
Well, okay, so the Dulles brothers, right? Everyone talks about Alan Dulles, who was CIA, but the real villain is his older brother, John Foster Dulles. So they're just called Foster. So in the 1920s, Germany no longer had a military. They weren't allowed to under the under the treaty obligations that were signed at the end of the First World War in 1918. Okay, so John Foster Dulles, through his firm, Sullivan and Cromwell, began to create special bonds that allowed German industrialists to refinance their war debt and begin to rearm in secret. So that's all done by an American investor who later, instead of being tried for sedition, was appointed Eisenhower's Secretary of State.
Yeah, here is right here. I just pulled it up, actually. Here he is with the man himself, John Foster Dulles, and there he is.
And Henry Ford also was a big supporter of Hitler.
Did not know that.
Yeah, he wrote a book that Hitler loved called, this is Ford, it was called The International Jew. It was just this like long anti-Semitic tirade about how the Jews are responsible for everything, right? And Hitler was like, I mean, that was like at the top, you know, on Goodreads, Hitler ran out of stars, right?
Man, so a lot of people in the United States were probably against us intervening in the war because of the financial stake they had in Germany.
They were completely against us intervening in the war, and we stayed out of it until 1941 when we were bombed by Japan at Pearl Harbor.
Japan doesn't bomb us. Do we even intervene?
That's a very good question. You know, Britain is under attack, you know, 1939, 1940. Their entire army is nearly wiped out at Dunkirk. And Churchill is fighting this thing alone. France has already fallen. You know, all of Europe seems to be under the sway or control directly of Hitler. And so, you know, the Brits and Churchill are facing this thing alone. So he's, of course, reaching out to Roosevelt. And Roosevelt wants to help, but he's like, we can't be seen helping you. So he would have to send supplies through this really convoluted supply route, like through Canada, and have those shipped over. But like he just knew that there wasn't public support for the war in Europe. And then we were bombed by Japan. We immediately declared war on Japan. Germany was an ally of Japan. They declared war on us. We declared war on Germany. So it was off to the races.
And present day, Japan loves us, right? Because they're afraid of China. So they side with us on everything.
Well, yeah, and we completely rebuilt their entire country after the incendiary bombing of World War II. We demolished the entire country.
Yeah, and they built, build back better, as Biden once said. Better.
Yeah, they built back better and got really into like technology and, Western industrialism.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, Aaron, you sound like a huge cuck who, do you believe everything you read? Once you said about World War II, you said it's the most documented event in history, in all of history.
I mean, one of them, good grief. There are photographs and video of everything.
I didn't know there was, I guess they would have video from inside the camps, huh?
Not inside the death camps, not inside, Auschwitz or Dachau. They didn't have video of that because they weren't allowed. And the Nazis were trying to, of course, hide this thing because they knew if they lost the war, they'd all be prosecuted as war criminals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
now,
like the sheer amount of footage that exists of Hitler and Nazi Germany and Goebbels and Goering and Himmler, like it was the explosion of physical media, photography, cinematography, like all, no war had been documented in that way before. And Hitler loved to get on camera.
Well, yeah, we had birth of like portable cameras, right? Something like that, or like I'm guessing portable typewriters as well. That's when the portables started coming out, I bet.
Yeah,
for war journalists, because those other fuckers were too heavy. You can't lug around an 80-pound typewriter.
Yeah, and Hitler was one of the first politicians to really understand how to use photography and cinematography to sell Nazism to the German people.
The films,
the photographs. So he faced several moments where he was nearly destroyed. And one of those moments was the leader of the SA, the stormtroopers, was a guy named Ernst Röhm. And Ernst Röhm was known, he was gay, he was a known homosexual. And Hitler kind of turned a blind eye. But then kind of all that stuff leaked out, and Hitler's like, yeah, I can't be seen with like this gay guy, right? So he did a book of photography of himself with like him and his dog, him and his nieces, him and his, he wasn't married at the time, but him and his family. That book was called The Hitler I Know. And it's just pictures of like Hitler, like, petting his dog and being a good family man and all this kind of stuff, right? So he understood like how this could be used for political effect.
In a way, him starting out as an artist helped his vision for the country he wanted. If he didn't start out loving shape and shadow and texture and color and the canvas, he couldn't have, he really was trying to paint the world he wanted to see. And he almost damn near did it.
He was doing pretty well in terms, tactically and strategically. And then he makes two enormous blunders. And one of those is Operation Barbarossa in 1942, when Germany invades the Soviet Union. And that assures he's going to fight a two-front war, which he doesn't have the resources to do, by the way. And I don't mean just like he doesn't have the tanks, he doesn't have the ammunition, he doesn't have the oil, he doesn't have the gasoline.
Oh, okay. So it was ill-advised, I'm assuming, by his council.
Every single one of his officers, his like generals, they begged him not to do it. Begged him.
And his generals eventually behind his back go, we got to kill this guy.
Some of them were, Rommel was executed as a traitor, even though it's kind of, we don't really know how much he had to do with the assassination attempt on his life. I mean, they blew him up, but the bomb was placed in a weird position under the conference table, and he only caught part of the blast.
I love bombs. What kind of bomb are we talking? What did they do with this bomb?
Okay, so it was some kind of
I can look it up.
Explosive. Yeah, I would imagine it's like Composition B, something like the German version of Composition B, which is basically like a kind of like early C4.
Is this the July 20th plot?
Yes.
Oh, wow. They really did a number on this this conference room.
Yep.
Look at this.
It nearly killed him. It killed other people in the room.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Did he have any scars?
They almost... No, I don't know if he had scars. I know he was badly burned, I think, on his legs, and it blew his eardrums out.
Wow.
Yep. So they came very close, and there were other plots. Like
it says right here, previous failed attempts. Jesus.
Yep.
March 13th, 1943, March 21st, 1943, November 43, February 44, and March 44.
No, his generals understood. By 42, his generals understood that he was going to pull the entire temple down on their heads.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was going to act in such a way that was so catastrophic for Germany that they, I mean, the people would die. There'd be mass starvation.
Damn,
he
I
became
can't believe
increasingly erratic.
the cold hand of Satan was looking after Hitler these days.
But yeah,
The fact that they
it's
never
very-
were successful is unbelievable, but
It is unbelievable.
how paranoid was he in terms of
Very.
dodging these attempts?
He was very paranoid, and he only got more paranoid. And the methamphetamine that he was given by his personal doctor, Theodore Morel, the morphine that he got injected into his veins, like it was making it way worse.
Wouldn't his doctor administer some opioid into his eyeball every morning with a dropper?
I think he got cocaine drops into his eyes.
Damn, that's awesome.
Which used to be like cocaine used to be like dentists would use cocaine, ophthalmologists would use cocaine to numb, various parts of the body.
I'm looking up the bomb. Oh, 2 bombs in a briefcase. Jeez, I can't believe you could put a bomb in a tiny little briefcase that can bring down a place like that.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It was all in a conference room inside of a bunker, so the blast was contained. It should have killed everybody, but at the last minute, someone moved that briefcase to the opposite side of like this of one of the table legs, and that helped absorb the blast, and so Hitler didn't catch all of it.
Damn. It says Adolf Hitler, it was a 2-pound bomb filled with an acid capsule.
Yeah, that's the primer.
Got it. And so there's just a shitload of gunpowder in there?
I think it was probably some sort of early plastic explosive. It was like something like Composition B or what became C4, I would imagine. I don't think they used dynamite, though they might have. They might have used dynamite.
You think after this, did he just torture some people he thought tried to do it?
Oh, he had them all. He immediately rounded them up and executed them.
Really?
They were publicly executed.
Publicly executed?
Yeah. They took them out like in front of a building and shot them all against a wall. And then like he became more and more paranoid about who was involved. He didn't know who was involved, who wasn't involved. And so he ends up, having Rommel killed. And Rommel, had been hailed as the great German general, the Desert Fox and everything, right?
Yeah.
His generals also hated his guts.
Yeah, because they're like, we're going to be tried as war criminals when this is all over. Best case is I get extradited to Indiana. And why do I want to live there?
Yeah, they never accepted him because he was like this low middle class guy that was never an officer. He was a corporal in World War I. And, he kind of had those boorish bourgeois manners. And they were all like upper crust German aristocrats.
Look at this, man. Hitler knew it would cause a major scandal on the home front to have the popular Rommel publicly branded as a traitor. With this in mind, he opted to give Rommel the option of suicide via cyanide or a public trial by Friesler's People Court. Rommel was well aware that being hauled before the People's Court was tantamount to a death sentence. He also knew that if he chose to stand trial, his family would have been severely punished even before the all but certain conviction and execution. With this in mind, he committed suicide on October 14th, 1944. He was buried with full military honors, and his family was spared from persecution. His cause of death did not come to light until after the war. So he ended up taking the cyanide, or he just killed himself the way he wanted to?
I think he shot himself. If I remember correctly, he could have taken cyanide, but I think he shot himself. I don't want to kill myself. I'm not suicidal. I'd rather shoot myself than take a cyanide caplet, man. That's a painful death, dude.
Yeah, I see too many videos, though, of people where their heads look like big bowls for for like beef stew and soup and stuff. And people with like their face fucking missing, and I don't know. It seems none of them try to do it again for whatever reason. I guess it was, in a weird way. I guess they find meaning in their suffering after they can live as a testament to why life is a better option than death. So in a weird way, they're happier with their head missing than they were with a normal face.
Yeah.
But I would never shoot myself in the head. It's just looks like you can end up looking like Jar Jar Binks, and who wants to be that? I can't expect my wife to stay with me after looking like that.
No. He gave Ernst Röhm the opportunity to kill himself with a Ruger, and Röhm wouldn't do it.
To kill Hitler with a Ruger?
No. Hitler gave Ernst Röhm the choice to kill himself with a Ruger, and I can't remember if they ended up shooting him because he wouldn't kill himself, or if he bit into a cyanide caplet. But like a lot of the people that after the war that were being tried, like Hermann Goering, who was commander of the Luftwaffe, the Air Force, he was like in a prison cell, and someone smuggled in cyanide caplets, and he killed himself before he was sentenced, before he was hanged.
Do you know what the problem with this is? Why they couldn't take down the big dog, the big chief himself?
Wow.
It's because, unfortunately, white people are just very bad at terrorism. They're not good at the Allahu Akbar stuff. They're really not. They should have hired a Muslim to come down from Germany to strap a beeping vest to himself and run into, a diner Hitler went to frequently or something. That should have been the move. They needed a Muz, and they didn't get him.
Weirdly, they were making alliances with Muslims in Iran and in Jerusalem. Himmler convinced Hitler that while Christianity and Judaism were, quote, slave religions, Islam was a religion of war. And
I think he called it the warrior religion, right?
Yeah. And so there were even like Iranian SS battalions like in Iran at the time, right?
That's funny.
Which is
like Arabian Nights guys just with big swastikas on their turban.
And here's the thing, like after the war was over, a lot of the Nazi officers fled down rat lines into Egypt and became part of the Egyptian dictator's intelligence service.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this wait, maybe you can answer this question then. Why the hell is everybody in India a neo-Nazi?
I have no idea about that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Hitler is, he's the Beatles for Indians.
Really?
They love him. They can't get enough of Hitler.
I've never heard this.
Every Indian on the internet just loves Hitler.
Yeah, like
they do.
There are like 1 billion people in India. All of them are Hitler fans.
Yes, every single one of them. They love Hitler.
Wow.
Why does India love Hitler? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, there is a good Google search.
This person said, why do Indians love Hitler? They said, I was having a conversation with my friend about books, and he was defending Hitler. We started talking about Hitler's autobiography, and he said Hitler was really good in management. He did awesome things like industrialization, bringing glory to Germany after the Treaty of Versailles. And 2 other people jumped in to describe how awesome Hitler was. When I said he killed Jewish people, they were like, nobody is perfect. See his positive side. So I think in India, they have a little bit more of a... I guess they ignore a lot of the bad. They go, don't look at the bad, look at the positive.
I would need to read, I think I need to read an article about how widespread this alleged Hitler love is in India. I can't imagine that. I mean, I don't I don't deny that there's some people who like him all over the world for whatever reason. It just
there's
it
an
would
ice
seem
cream
very weird.
dude. I found this. So there's this Medium article where this guy looks into it, and he says, "I'm not going to pay for his Medium article."
Yeah.
But it says this guy did some quick research, found this is in fact a reality in India. It took next to no digging whatsoever to find that this cultural phenomenon flourishes to this day in that nation. I found things like an ice cream company calling themselves Hitler Ice Cream.
Oh my gosh!
There is also a clothing store that simply calls itself Hitler.
Like that. Beyond how sick that is and twisted. Like, what are the ice cream flavors?
We're gonna get to that because it says here as well an Indian member of parliament showing up to work dressed as the iconic murderer of 6 million Jews as recently as 2018. So someone in the Indian parliament dressed up as Hitler, like as and went to work, I guess. Should I sign up for this? I think I'm gonna sign up for this real quick so I hit these links because I got to see what these Hitler flavors are.
What are the Hitler flavors?
I'm chomping at the bit. Look at this. Wait, I'm gonna switch back. I just signed into my Medium account. Look at the Hitler ice cream.
Oh my gosh. Panzerberry Supreme.
There we go. Okay. I'm clicking.
It's one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
Oh, do I have to sign up for this? I have to upgrade to this guy's thing. It's okay. I'll look it up on my own. Hitler ice cream, India.
I mean,
someone in the chat, I don't know if this is true because often what they post is not true. It's just jokes. Someone says they have a Hitler KFC.
God, Lee, what in the world? People are insane. Hitler KFC. So instead of Colonel Sanders, it's like Adolf there in his military uniform.
That's right.
Yard's finger looking good.
The brand's cartons were adorned with a photo of stern-looking Hitler dressed in a brown blazer, and a cartoon of the Fuhrer doffing his hat. Attaching the viral photos, Congress leader Shashi Tharoor tweeted, "Height of tastelessness, Indian ice cream named after Hitler. Would the Germans name a sausage after Godse?" Wait, who's Godse? Godse.
I have no idea. I have no idea who that is.
Was that a guy in India who was like their Hitler?
No clue. Got me. Never heard. I don't know.
So
completely ignorant.
Niraj Kumar, the owner of the company which manufactured the cones, says cones were named after an uncle who was nicknamed Hitler because of his quick temper. So anyone who has a Karaj Majaz is called Hitler in the Uttar Pradesh village. One of my uncle. It's kind of like how we call people a Karen. You know, they call people Hitler. It's unbelievable.
I mean, that's really insane.
They love Hitler over there. I don't just talk shit on this show and Lemon Party.
No,
I do everything by the book.
You're like Anderson Cooper. You're keeping them honest.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no one more well-informed than me.
You're a journalist, Ben. Let's call it what it is.
Jesus. A 2012 research paper published by the Economic and Political Weekly stated that Mein Kampf was a bestseller, and more than a dozen publishers, including noted ones like Jaco, print the dictator's memoir in India. So Mein Kampf is very popular over there. They need to stop selling that in India. Is everybody reading Mein Kampf in India when they're not, cutting food with their toenails and...
Oh gosh, man! What? This is so insane. So someone has translated Mein Kampf into I don't know which like Punjabi or whatever it is. I'm not.
You can just say Indian.
That part of the world
it says the book is sold in English. Translations are in Hindi, Bengali, Gujarati, Malayalam, and Tamil. And it says, Mein Kampf has a huge readership. I have been in the business for more than 20 years, and every year it has sold well, Rajesh said. So this is the guy who sells Mein Kampf.
The business. The Hitler business.
This is an Indian librarian who says, he goes, oh, yes, no, Mein Kampf, one of our very best sellers, sir. Very good book.
Like, what would be the appeal?
Dude.
What would be the appeal if you're just an average Indian person?
You love
You're
Hitler.
Get into Hitler.
You hate Jews. It says this guy who sells Mein Kampfs, it says he said he knew nothing about Hitler's political life. He says, the translation, the guy just wrote one book, which made him a bestseller. So they don't even know. They didn't know anything about his political life at all. They're just like, this guy's, his prose is rich. And, you know, I also don't like the Jays. I think that's the whole thing.
Again, I'm ignorant about India.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Indians were big anti-Semites. This is new information to me.
Yeah, they're all over the internet talking shit about the Jays. Now, before you go here, I did want to talk to you about the Hitler's early life. Like, who was Hitler before Hitler knew he was Hitler? I know he was born on the border of Austria and Germany. I passed through that town when I was on a train going from Vienna to West Germany. And
I bet you did.
I did. I passed through. I didn't get off. I didn't step off. But what's interesting to me is that he's born on the absolute border of Germany and Austria, almost like he slipped through the cracks of hell. Like, what is happening in Vienna and this part of the world that we have produced some of the, say what you will, some of the most influential people ever in regards to music and war, which are the two finest arts that man has ever mastered?
Well, it was a huge cultural, place. I mean, they produced, all these composers and, the Viennese court, were, they patronized Mozart and everything. So, I mean, at one point, Vienna as a cultural site in the cultural matrix was really big. Early Hitler, the short version is, his mother had 3 children. They all died very young, very, very young. And then she had Adolf Hitler. And then she had another boy, and that boy died young. And I think Hitler had 1 or 2 sisters. So he was the only male child who lived, and his mother doted on him. Now, he was a real mama's boy. His father was a brutal man and physically abused Hitler. So on one side, you've got this mother who, doesn't think Hitler can do any wrong. If only she could have hung out for a while. And then you've got his father who is beating him, right? So I think that's a pretty interesting origin story about.
Is this usually the making of a serial killer? It's the strong attachment with the mother and beaten by the father?
I think it's an ingredient, right? And then, Hitler...
This is the Hitler KFC, by the way, in India.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, it's just Hitler, awful. They haven't got the memo at all over there. 1 billion people, they still just...
Yeah, Hitler wasn't a good student in school, but he loved Westerns. And he particularly liked Westerns about the Apache. And there was one I don't know the title, but there was one where there was an Apache chief who was trying to save and protect his people. And he really identified with that, which is, like many things about Hitler, weird.
What's that? The second short story in Dubliners by Joyce is they all love these Western books.
Yes,
those 2 little kids who ditch school because they're like, you need to read Cervantes or whatever they're telling him, and they're like, no, we want to read about these cowboys. And then their teacher, and this must be set in Dublin in like 1908. Am I right?
Yeah. That's right.
Somewhere along then. So this was a big thing for people reading about the Old West in the early 1900s. cowboys and Indians.
That's
This was
right.
a global thing, global
It was
phenomenon.
a global thing. No, people loved it. People loved it, especially like these little dime novels and everything. So Hitler was raised on those Westerns. He loved it.
It says he used to read the
and
pulp
then-
novels of Karl May, who is best known for his 19th
That's
century
it.
novels of fictitious travels and adventures set in the American Old West. Yeah, I don't know
That's
which
it.
book it is, but that's what he loved. He loved cowboys. Amazing.
Yeah. And more than that, he loved Apaches. He thought they were awesome. Like they're protecting their people. They're, all
Now,
that kind of stuff.
What do you know about the Apaches? Were they similar to the Comanche?
They were a horse tribe, but they were the enemies of the Comanche, and the Comanche hunted them almost into extinction in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then Hitler was a poor student, but he had shown talent as an artist. And so he applied to this Viennese art school. And they thought that his painting, that he had real talent for drawing architecture, but he couldn't draw credible human beings. And so they denied his application. And he wandered around for a while. And by 1908, he spent 1908 Christmas Day in a homeless shelter. So he was like a street person, he was a homeless person.
And how old is he?
And then, late teens, early 20s.
He's the wanderer.
then
He was just sort of having a
he's the
gap
wanderer.
year before he became Hitler.
Yeah, he was having a gap year, and then World War I broke out. He enlisted, and he saw, a lot of what the people saw in World War I, which is just horrific trench warfare and gas attacks and all this kind of stuff. And then Germany is defeated and signs, this treaty that the Germans felt was too punitive in terms of reparations and all that kind of stuff. So he's still a member of the army. He's demobilized and goes to Berlin, and he goes to work for the government as an informant, because there were all these far right groups in Weimar Germany, and the government was really concerned about them taking power. So at first he was a narc, and then he attended a meeting of this new party called the National Socialist Workers' Party, which is the Nazi party. And at one of these meetings, he starts hearing what all these people he's informing on are saying, and he gets really animated. He said, "No, that won't work. You don't understand. This is how it should be." And he gives us 45-minute speech, and people are like, "You're a star. You should think about running this thing." And so he leaves his position as an informant to get involved in politics as a member of the Nazi Party.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful origin story. I can't believe that. He was a convert.
He was a convert.
But really because he found home. He was looking for a family. He was a lost soul drifting around like a tumbleweed throughout the German hills there. And
I don't think I've heard people speak of it in quite as wistful a way as you're talking about it right now. He found a tribe. He just found belonging,
Well, this is the
Just a
danger of
lost
the internet.
boy.
Once people find a community where they feel comfortable, and
Hey,
a lot of people, that's a carrot that is dangled in front of many men, and it actually alters their life for the worst forever. Forever changed.
yes.
I had friends that in Texas, they didn't have a good home life. They were good guys.
Right.
I loved them a lot.
Right.
They weren't bad kids, but
Of course.
they go, "Oh, I want to join this brotherhood, the Marines." And then they join.
Right.
And I thought they would be so happy. And I talked to them a year or two later, and they said it's the worst thing that's ever happened to them, that they didn't find any sort of community. It's a dick measuring contest. They went in there Christians, and they said a lot of their higher up guys were atheists and would beat like God and Jesus and stuff out of them. They didn't believe in, which I thought people in I mean, you know, I guess it depends on the like battalion or whatever they're in, whatever.
Of course.
So who knows? They may have just got a general that was fucking with them that might have believed in God and was just trying to be hard on them to make them stand up for themselves. I don't know, but they said it was terrible, the worst experience of their life, and it only made them feel more alone.
My chain, my chain, my chain, my chain. Don't you like my chain?